Hello, everybody, and welcome to this stream. We're going to do a similar stream as last week, where I had a buddy on. That time it was Christophe, and we are going to show some new stuff that we've made separately. And this time, I've got for you my buddy Dries. Hi, Dries.
Hey, Freek, what's up?
Oh, everything goes good here. It's a nice day in the multicolored office behind me, I guess.
Yeah, your background is a lot better than mine.
Well, yours is cozy as well. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been at your place, right? I don't think I visited in COVID, so looking forward to visiting you and your mess behind you.
Yeah, looking forward to that as well.
Hey, let's get right to it because we have a lot to show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You have 2 things or 3 things maybe to show. I have 2 things to show. I'd say you go first. Let me share your screen, and the stage is yours. And I'm heckling.
Okay, that's great. So what I want to thanks for letting me on. By the way, nice that I can finally visit, just like Christophe did last time.
Thanks for coming on.
So what I wanted to show today is a little bit about a package that I made for Blade UI Kit called Blade Icons, and let's go to that real quick. Icons. So the package can be found under the Blade UI Kit organization. It's called Blade Icons. And what it actually allows you to do is like provide a really easy way to render SVG icons in your Laravel application. So instead of like having to copy paste the entire SVG icon in, you can just like use it very easily. Let me try to find an example here real quick. Just like show you the code real quick here. On the resources folder, probably we have like in the hero somewhere. Yeah. So here you can see like one of the SVG icons that's rendered through Blade Icons. So basically it works like a component where you reference a specific icon set and then the specific icon name for the icon you try to render. And what you'll get is this icon in the front end then. And you can like pass, just like regular Blade components, like pass classes, like with Tailwind classes, so you control the height and the color and whatnot on the icons.
Can I already ask a question?
Yeah,
how
sure.
how are these Blade components registered? Because you have like thousands of icons, right? Do you have to register them all, or how is that done?
No, so that's basically done for you. So the way that Blade icons work is like it ships with a configuration file, and it has like a configuration for icon sets. So you can define multiple sets of icons. By default, it ships with the default icon set, which you need to comment out when it's published. And you register a path of icons, like, for example, your SVG icons folder in your resources directory, where you put all of your SVG icons in, and they'll get registered automatically through the package, through the service provider. So you don't have to like do anything manual for that. And what it will do is it will take the name of the icon, and that's the part which you can reference in the component name. So it works out of the box real easily.
Okay.
You can also, like, if you, for example, wanted to define the hero icon set manually, you could like say, this is my hero icons set of icons, and you register a prefix for them. So you put hero icons here, and together with the file name, you get this part here. So this is basically the icon name, and this is the prefix you define in the configuration file. And that's how the automatically registration of those icons work. I think, yeah, go ahead.
How does it work behind the scenes? Does it loop through that directory and register them individually, or is there some Laravel magic there as well?
So the way it worked before because I released a 1.0 release a couple of weeks ago, the way it worked before, we're working with a single factory class, which basically is like the main class that handles all of the registering and lookup for the icons themselves. And the way the factory class worked before was like, you defined the factory class, you added a certain set with their specific options, and it would do like all sorts of things to check like if the options were defined properly. And after that, it will loop through all of the paths you defined for the icon sets, and then you added those files to the icon set, and it would register the components manually. So it basically defines a blade component for every single icon itself.
Yeah,
it uses a certain component class which ships with the package itself behind the scenes. It would define the icon name for it, which is derived from the name from the SVG file itself, and also uses the specific prefix you defined in your options. And that's how that works behind the scenes. Now, that was a bit before 1.0. It still kind of works like this, but with the 1.0 release, a certain feature got added that makes it even more easier to use. Because before, when you registered like thousands of icons from a certain set, things would tend to go pretty slow. It would like have a certain impact on the the rendering of the view, because the lookup needed to happen every single time, and every single time the icons would needed to be loaded in. But someone contributed this icon manifest class for the 1.0 release. And what it basically does is like, it works similar to how package discovery works in Laravel. So it creates like a cached file of all the icons that,
I just want to say that the package auto discovery was like a genius idea that was added by a genius to Laravel. So that's pretty nice.
Okay, I have to say, like, I don't think that anything of my original code for Laravel for the package auto discovery still exists. I think like Taylor rewrote most of it, but it was nice to see that land in Laravel. It was like back in the time, it was an idea that I had for a while, and I thought like it would be like super useful to others as well, to just not having to do all of that manual stuff of doing a service provider in the app.php file and the facade and whatnot.
Yeah, you take it for granted now, but it's if you remember the old days, it was really a little bit cumbersome to do that manually. So
exactly.
You having that idea made a lot of our lives, I think, better. Or at least certainly mine.
It's a small thing, but it's indeed like, if you think about it now, like you're so used to it being done automatically, like you can't imagine like going back to the old days. But to come back to the icon manifest here, so it's works a little bit similar like the package auto discovery. It basically like loads in all of the icons and the icon sets, and all of the icons for every icon set. And then you can do something. I'll try it out here on the bladeuikit.com website. So basically use PHP artisan icons cache. And now you notice that it took a while to do that. It wasn't like done really fast, because what it basically does, it goes to every icon set that's loaded in. And the bladeuikit.com website has a lot of icon sets, because we have the icon search, which we'll get to in a little bit. So it needs to like process all of these icon sets, and all of the icons. I think there's like almost 15,000 icons that needs to be processed. And now it created a manifest file. Let's take a look at that. It's in the Bootstrap file, and then you notice the blade icons file here.
Yeah.
And when you open up that, you'll see the icons for the default icon sets. There's not just a few in there here, but it has also like every single other set, and all of those icons are in here as well. And it references the paths where those icons are. And that's basically how you don't have to do the file lookup every single time for those icons. And that's like the power of icon caching in Blade 1.0. That really helped a lot with speeding things up. There's also other ways to use icons, so you don't necessarily need to use component-based syntax. You can also use the SVG helper if you like. If that's like how you roll, you can like reference the name like this, and then do like, I think the class, I have to look it up because I haven't used like the directive for a long time, but I think you can pass the classes as a second parameter, and then some other options like attributes in the third array option. And there's a third option as well, if that's how you roll. There's an SVG helper, which you can use, and it works exactly the same way. So you can use SVG, and then I think also like if I'm correct, like the class and the attributes as a second way. Yeah. And there's even like a third way, a fourth way, which is directly on the helper itself. So you can use like this fluent syntax for defining attributes, if that's how you roll, if that's more readable to you. So it's pretty flexible in terms like how you want to use this. So there's like something for everyone in terms of like how you want to render those icons. It comes also with like quite some features. I'm actually going to show you the README file because that's much easier to follow. So the installation is pretty easy. You just like require the package, you publish the configuration file, you make sure that the default icon set is uncommon so it can discover your resources.svg folder. And then you put SVG icons in it, and it just works. It's probably, if you don't have a lot of icons, then caching isn't really necessary. But if you like use a certain icon set which has lots of icons, it's probably recommendable that you do that on production and such. Like I said, defining sets is really easy. You just reference the path. You can use multiple paths as well if you have multiple directories. You can even use Laravel's file system disk if you like. So you can reference a certain disk. For example, if you want to host the icons on an S3 bucket, you can also use a fallback icon. So for example, by default, what happens when, and I'll show it to you real quick. So if I write some nonsense here and then try to, oh, wait.
Oh, your background just changed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice. Crazy stuff. So if I render an icon that doesn't exist, it basically says like we can't locate this component for you. And I really should like add a Flare solution for this. Like
I was just going to
yeah,
I was just going to say that.
It's still on my list to do. Lots of to dos, but I'll get to that one, or someone can contribute it if they like. So that's how that works. If you go back to the README, a few other features that you have is like prefixing icons, of course. Like every single set needs a prefix. That's mandatory because otherwise you have name collisions. So it's important that you have a prefix. The only exception is that for the default icon set, you can omit it when referencing the name. So you can, like, if you have like an example SVG, you don't need to use the icon prefix from the default set. You can just use example. That's because that's more easy to use than a specific set that you have defined. You can define default classes on the both the top level configuration, which are applied to all of your icons, or you can define those default classes as well as attributes. They work similar on a specific icon set. And then if you do it on a specific icon set, they'll be applied to only that particular set. So that's pretty flexible and useful. Like I said, there's 3 ways to reference icons. You have components, directives, and the helper. If you use components, there's also subdirectory support. So if you have subdirectories, you can use it with a dot notation. So you can like put the icons in a subfolder if you want that. And like regular components, the attributes are just compiled as you like. That's a little bit for Blade icons.
Cool.
I could dive a little bit more into the internals if you like, but I think like maybe we should also like focus a little bit on the other packages later on. Whatever you like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's maybe do another package.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I want things to move a little bit. You had 2 things. I also have 2 things.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go up next and then you come back. So there's like this nice flow between us. But I really like this one, Dries.
I had 3 things, but like let's just see like how far we get with the stream. Yeah.
Our own time limitation is these 2 little humans that will come home.
Yeah.
I think at 15:30, and that's like basically the ending when they arrive. So we'll see how far that we go.
Okay.
But this is already pretty cool, Dries. Maybe one more thing about this.
Sure.
You didn't start this package, I think, right? It's Adam?
That's actually what I wanted to mention as well. Indeed, like the original package is called Blade SVG and it was built by Adam Wedden. It's a funny story. Like he had Blade SVG and he had like the directive and the helper. And I started a package which was purely focused on components. And then he told me like, there's already an SVG Blade package by Adam out there, and which I didn't know about. And I saw that and I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. But Adam wasn't really maintaining it anymore. I think like Caleb took over, but he wasn't like spending tons of time on it anymore as well. And I just reached out to Adam, like say like, hey, if you want, I can take over. I can merge our packages so you have the directives, the helpers, and the components in one single package. And he was okay with it. So I spent some time moving stuff over, fine-tuning it, and rewriting the internals basically from scratch. And that's how Blade Icons started. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, and it's also nice to see that you already have quite some downloads there. So that
it's going very well. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see that people like it. And there's also I'll get back to that later. Maybe like there's tons of icon packages as well. Like there's lots of icon packages that are contributed by the community. So there's really an icon for everyone that you can say. Yeah.
I see that there's also a pack contributed by Owen, who is also in our audience, I think. So thanks, Owen, for that.
I think Owen has contributed 2 packages, the Font Awesome one as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, Owen.
Okay, let's switch over. I'm going to do a little bit of window management here. So your window goes away. And let's go to my first package. So in the first one that I want to talk a little bit about is about this disable-floc package. And I know, Dries, that you are also a very privacy-aware person. You are concerned about when on privacy-related topics. So I'm pretty sure that I don't need to introduce this horrible flock scheme to you. For people that don't know it yet, flock is a sort of way of Google that was created or designed by Google to replace third-party cookies when you want to track persons. So what Google basically does is they put you together with other people in a thing that they call a cohort, and a cohort is a group of people that opens more or less like the same websites, and that cohort ID is being transmitted so that providers of ads can target those specific groups. Now, there are, I don't know the entire protocol of or all the details by heart, but one of the concerns is that these cohorts, Google says, will put at least 2,000 people in there, but technically you could just put one person in there if you want, and then you're basically just back to tracking. If you want to know more about Flock itself, then I recommend this URL which I'll put in the chat, or you can just go to the repo, which I'll also put in the chat. And what this package basically does is it will disable that Flock mechanism for Laravel applications. How can you disable Flock? Well, you simply have to put on a header saying that I don't want to belong to any cohort. And that's basically how you just thwart the mechanism for now. Now, I think it would have been better, in my opinion, my personal opinion, that Laravel took care of this. And I think that Taylor actually added it last week to the framework. But apparently there were some complaints about it. And I've seen that in the master branch of Laravel, it has been removed yet. Yeah. So I thought, hey, let's just add a package for this, because you don't want to think about it. And I'd like to show you how it works behind the scenes. It's pretty easy, and I want to show you that it actually works. I've also designed it. Design is like a big word for this, but I just wanted to make it work so that there are no steps involved. So it's just composer install, and you get that header, and that's it. You don't need to add the middleware yourself. So maybe a Laravel new Flock test, and let's do a new Laravel application that goes much faster than with Composer 2 than with Composer 1. So Flock test. Let's see. If I open, I should see like the homepage here. So if I curl to it with HTTP, go ahead, Dries.
Can I make a small thing? Have you already used the new Git support in the installer?
No, not yet. Should I try it now?
Maybe just to throw it like in between, like if you use the latest version of the installer, you can use a -- git flag. And what it will do is it will initialize a new Git repository and commit the skeleton of the framework for you. So you already have immediately have like a Git repository set up for you, and you can start writing commits out of the box without you needing to do that yourself. There's also a -- GitHub flag, and if you use that, you can create a repo, a private repo on your GitHub account, and it will like just connect the Git repository as a remote to your GitHub repository, and then it will you can immediately also push to that repository. So you're like setting up the application immediately in GitHub as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. If I would have more courage, then I would now do a Composer global update and just try it out now. But I'm a little bit afraid that it might break things. So
no worries. Just throwing that in between.
But it's a good tip. After the stream, I'm going to try it out. So here we can see every header that this Laravel application responds with. Now we are going to install the package, and we should get an extra header then. Composer require Spatie laravel-disable-floc, like that. And through the magic of package auto discovery, Dries, we should have that extra header now. Oh, not the composer, but this one. And where is it? Here is it. Permissions
Great.
policy, interest cohorts, nothing.
Works well.
Bye bye. Yeah, it's amazingly simple. But I think if you want to let people use something very opinionated like this, you need to make it very very easy to use.
So
'Cause-
basically, it automatically adds the middleware, right?
yeah, let's maybe take a look at the code. Laravel-disable-floc. I actually created this package twice. Why did I create it twice? Because I heard about floc. I decided I don't want it, so I created a package. Then somebody told me, "Hey, this is in Laravel." So I threw the package away, and 5 minutes later, I kid you not, somebody said it has been reverted. So I had to do it again. And because I already had deleted everything. So, so it's actually pretty simple. So this is the service provider of that package. So it gets auto-discovered. And here we are just going to prepend the middleware to the web group. So it gets applied to all the web groups, not the API routes. And in disable-floc, this is just regular middleware. We first are going to let the application do its job. So we have the entire response. And if the application itself didn't set a permissions policy thing, then we are going to set it. And that is basically just all there is to it. It was for me, it was a little bit of an exercise of keeping things fresh in my memory to create another package.
Because maybe you don't do that every other week.
Yeah. Maybe I'm a little bit addicted. Maybe that is the real reason. And of course, I've also added a test that when you have a route, you assert that the route works and that it has that header. And that's basically everything there is to it. Now I hope, but I'm not sure, of course, that maybe Laravel does change it's their whatever pronoun you have to use, its mind, and that it gets into Laravel. But I get that if there's like a little bit of controversy around it, that maybe it is.
I think
I don't know the basis of the controversy, but
I don't know the entire gist either. But I think like the basis was like people couldn't like decide if they wanted to have it enabled automatically or not. And because like there was a pull request first to add it to the skeleton, which like where you could like really easily disable or enable it. But Taylor put it into the framework itself. And I think that's what triggered people who didn't want to have the headers added to things like API requests and stuff like that, because it like increases the payload size a little bit, which in my opinion like doesn't really matter because it's like not that much, but I can understand it a little bit from their side as well. So maybe it will end up in the framework someday. I don't know, like we'll see.
And there are a lot of options. You could add like a config key to Laravel or something like this, but it doesn't make sense to have like config things for such little things. Maybe maybe a package is just the best way. That could also
I think
be the case.
Your solution of a middleware is still the easiest way to tackle this, personally.
So that was the first thing. Very lightweight, but I certainly am going to use it on all my sites. Okay, Dries, I think it's time to go back to you.
Okay,
and we're perfectly half an hour underway. So
nice,
perfect.
Okay,
so,
am I streaming?
No, you stopped sharing your screen, so you.
Okay. I need to do that again. Let me see. Okay, should be good now.
Yes, There you go. Oh, and Dries, you can hide that little thing there from StreamYard. If you click there,
Like that?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
that's better.
Nice. Learning every day. Okay, so the second thing I wanted to show is just a little change I made to one of the other packages I maintained. First, before we do that, I'll show you. Like I said, there's like lots of icon packages for Blade icons as well. And the way they work, I'll show you Heroicons, which is the first one I made for Blade icons. The way they work is like also very easy. You just compose or require a certain set. You also don't need to require Blade icons for this. If you aren't going to use Blade icons directly, it will do that behind the scenes. It's included with the package itself. So it'll come with all of the benefits and power from Blade icons as well. And you just need to require this package, and you can start writing code like, let me see, where are we? And you can start writing the icons like this. It just works out of the box. You don't need to do anything about it, just a compose and require, and it will work, which is pretty awesome. So somebody asked me the other day, let me see if I can find the issue. Yeah, so we added default classes to Blade icons, but the icon set packages don't yet have that ability to set like default classes for those icons. For example, you might want to, like he says, like set a certain width or a height through Tailwind by default, so you don't need to like define that for every single icon you need to do, and you couldn't do that yet. And the way I tackled this was I added a config file for the icon package itself. So what it basically did was added a config file, which is similar to the config for an icon set, which you can define in Blade icons itself. It has a few limited options. So the path and disk option aren't here because they aren't relevant to an icon set package, because the icons are already defined in the icon set itself, so you don't need to like write that again. But if you want, you can publish this config file, and then you can edit the prefix if you like, add a fallback icon, add default classes, default attributes. In the same way, you can do that through Blade icons. So you now, with this change, you truly have all of the power of Blade icons itself. And for example, if I wanted to have those always have like a width and a height, I don't think I have the package updated on bleachuikit.com yet, but if I wanted to, I could like remove this and then define them here, and then all of my Blade Heroicons icons would have those classes by default, so I don't need to define them again. And the change was pretty easy. Like I needed to register the config, needed to make sure that it's publishable, and then here I added the icon set through the factory class, which we saw earlier. And the only thing that's hard-coded now is the path. Like I said, you don't need to define that yourself. We're doing that through the service provider. And the rest of the configuration is merged into that, and you can adjust that how you like. So that's pretty easy. And like I said, there's lots of icon packages, so there's an icon for everyone. If you like, we also have a pretty cool feature. It's called icon search. And let me show you that real quickly. So you have the bladeuikit.com website, and you have the Blade icons page here, which is like a starting page for the Blade icons package. But you also have like an icon search. And while not every single icon set is in here already, because some packages still need to be updated to the latest versions of Blade icons, there's already quite a few icons in here. And it's super easy. Like if you just need to think about a certain icon which you want, so like an icon for book or an icon for a star, for star, caps lock, or even Laravel, or
Dries, can I try a few?
BBC. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Piano. Is there like a piano?
There you go.
Oh yeah,
There's a piano.
guitar. Is there a guitar?
See? Yep, there's a
Oh yeah.
guitar.
Okay, let's try some more difficult things. Let's do something from Marvel. Hulk. Is there like a Hulk icon? That's maybe
No,
that's proprietary, of
no
course. But,
Hulk.
yeah,
Maybe Marvel itself.
Marvel.
No Marvel icon.
Colosseum.
Am I
It's
spelling
it's
this right?
it's with one L and two S's. Yeah, I learned that myself.
Okay, no icon for
Ah.
that yet.
All right,
But
let's
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
temple. Maybe a little bit more generic temple. Template.
Not yet.
Uh,
I do have to add that, like, at the moment, it's only searching the icon names itself.
mhm.
So it's not
Ah,
smart, like
yeah.
there aren't synonyms yet. And that's actually part of the third piece I wanted to talk about here.
Mhm.
But maybe we'll do your package first and then go back to the third part of what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. You're in your flow, man. Just continue.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
I'll try to go through it quickly so we don't lose enough time for your part as well.
Well,
So
it's okay. It's okay.
yeah. So the way the icon search worked at first, and I really need to thank Adrian and Muzzle. I'm very sorry, I forgot his name for a second. It's escaping my mind, but his username is MuzzleXD or something. They contributed the original PR, which added the icon search here, and it was a great idea. I really love them for bringing this, and thanking them for building the first version. It's an amazing addition to BladeUIKit.com website. The way the icon search worked as first was a custom eloquent query that was written. So we imported all the icon sets through Caleb's sushi package, which is pretty neat. We used Caleb's sushi package for it.
Is there an icon for sushi? Try that.
Probably not. I think like he's still like developing an icon for that, right? Is there already an icon for sushi? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, yeah. I wondered if there was like a generic sushi one, not a logo.
Okay. No
Yeah,
sushi icon. No, not yet.
Fish. Let's do something more generic, and then you can continue.
There's a fish.
We have a fish. That's good. Okay.
Okay. So if you click on an icon, you get to a detail page. By the way, you can click here for the generic package. So you go to the package itself on GitHub, and you can like copy each of these, like to install this one, and then you can choose like which syntax you want. You can copy this and copy paste it right into your app to get started with the icon itself. So install the package, copy this, and you're good. And that's it that you need to do. But to get a little bit more into details about the search, the first way it worked was through an eloquent query. And last week, over the past couple of weeks, I took the time to refactor it to use a search engine behind the scenes. And the search engine that I used is Melisearch. Somebody also provided support for Melisearch recently in Laravel Scout. And I integrated Laravel Scout v9, which has support for Melisearch, into BladeUIKit.com last week. And now it has the power of a true like search engine behind the scenes. And let's take a look at the PR for that. So it's defined here in the pull request that was recently closed. Here it is. So it was quite interesting to see how that happened. So for Melisearch, you need to define some environment variables. And let's see if I can find the code for this. So the search itself is a livewire component, by the way. So it uses livewire behind it. And what it will do is before rendering the view, it will trigger the search from Laravel Scout, take the first 72 results, and if there is a search, it will search a maximum of 500 icons. It will get those, return them, and populate the view itself. And as you can see, this was the code we had before we introduced Melee Search. So this was quite long and quite a lot of code that was written for doing that. But now it's gone. Like the search method itself is part of Laravel Scout, so it doesn't needs to be rewritten. It just works out of the box. We have a static related icons method here, and that's used to show related similar icons here. That's how that's done. This will get better eventually when we start adding cinnamons. And that's what I talked about earlier. So Melee Search has a way where you can define like a JSON payload, and you load that payload into a certain index of Melee Search. Index is like, you can see it as the table in the Melee Search database where all of the icons are stored. And you can load that JSON payload into Melee Search, and you can define similar names to certain keywords. So, for example, if you set like sushi and you want to associate fish with sushi, you get to find it in that JSON payload. And that's a next improvement that we're going to do for the icon search. So we're going to like define that JSON payload somewhere, make it open source so people can just contribute to it if they like. And then like the more cinnamons that are going to be added to it will even further improve the search here, which is pretty cool. I think that's a little bit it for me, Freek. Like I said, there's already a lot of icons, and the more icon sets that get added, the more this will grow, and the more icons you can search.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And it's very nice that, Melee Search is another nice option for searching in Laravel applications. I had my eye on it for a while, and it's good to see that you can now just use it via Scout. So
Exactly. Also to mention, like James, a colleague of mine who mostly works on Laravel Forge, recently added a new server type to Forge. So if you wanted to start with Melee Search on production, it's super easy to do it. You just set up a new Melee Search server type with Laravel Forge. It will install Melee Search and run it for you. You can add it to a private network, so it's connected to your application server, and then you can just start working with Melee Search very easily. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's do another switch.
Sure.
And boom, and a little bit of window management, and boom, we are back here. So now you see my screen. So the second thing that I want to show you is a new package. It hasn't been tagged yet, but I guess I'm going to do that right after the screen. And it's a file system watcher. So what this thing can do, it can actually watch a directory, and when something happens, it allows you to react to that. Now, before diving into the internals to see how this actually works, let's just demonstrate it. So I'm going to open up the file system watcher. That's this one. And let's take a look at the tests here. I've written a couple of tests. And I think let's modify the test a little bit. Maybe I should emphasize first how easy it is to use. It is just watch this path on file created, do this. It's almost English. And you should finish off with watch, and then the watch begins, I should say.
As a Game of Thrones reference.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so here I have a test where I watch a certain directory, the test directory, and on any change here I can do stuff. So this test is a little bit designed to stop after a while, because by default, if you start the watcher, then and that is wrong, I think, in the README. This should not be watched, this should be stopped. When we start watching, then it's an indefinite process. unless you have like a should continue, then you can put like a test here to see, hey, should it stop or not? If this closure returns something falsy, then we'll stop. But for now, I just want to keep this one running. And on any change, so when something changes here, maybe we're going to use Ray for this because PHP unit won't output anything because the test is still ongoing. So let's take a look in Ray. Like that. And let's start this test. And like I've said, this test probably it doesn't end. Yeah. And nothing's happening. Here's my test directory. Let's maybe create something. Here it is. Was behind Ray here. So hiding in it indeed. So tests. And here you can see there was a file created. It is this file. If I just say something in it, hi there, and I'm going to save it now, the file was updated. Which file? That file. Nice. I also just can, maybe I should do another just to make sure that the directory still exists. Another. So now there's another file created. Let's delete another. So you can see file has been deleted, and I also can just delete the entire directory, and then you get directory deleted. So yeah, if you have like functionality where you want to see changes in the file system, this is the package for you because it's laughably easy to do this.
Cool.
So
does it also works with disks, file system disks?
No, it's just locally. So locally. It just works on local file systems. Yeah, because it doesn't work with polling behind the scenes. It's not like that he's constantly asking which are all the files, which are all the files. Is there anything changed? What happens behind the scenes is that it listens for native file system events. So Mac OS X or Mac OS saying, hey, something has changed, and it passes that through. So it's very, very efficient. So there's no polling involved at all. Let's maybe take a look at how it works, because how it works is laughably simple. And it was actually inspired by a blog post from a colleague of mine, Sebastian, who used a JavaScript package called, I think it was Shokidar, I think it's called. Let's maybe go to the installation. Yeah, so for this to work, you need to have like a JavaScript package installed. I'm going to tell a little bit more about that. And I've also seen that I've put it in the credits that Laravel Octane uses sort of the same functionality, and I piggybacked some of the ideas that I saw there. So let's take a look at how this thing actually works. And you can see that it's very simple. This is the entire class. Let's maybe start at the beginning. So all those functions, path and on file created, they just register callables, right? We just keep those callables on the class, and the real magic starts in the start, because then we are going to start the watching process, and that's like the interesting bit. How does the watcher process start? Well, we use Symfony's process command for that, and there's actually something quite nifty in Symfony as well. It's called the executable finder. You can see that it's part of Symfony, of the process component. And what this basically does is it can find the path to a certain binary on your system. And this works on Windows, Unix, Mac. You just want to say, hey, give me the path to the node binary because I want to execute that. What are we going to execute? A file called file watcher. And that's one here inside this binary. And then basically we are going to start the process. And we have a timeout of 0, so it's, like you see, it's still running here. It's a never-ending process. Nice. What's in here in File Watcher? Here in File Watcher, we use that Shokadar library. And this is something that I've learned. If you do require Shokidar, what it's going to do is it's going to take a look at, is there in my parent directory, is there a node modules directory where that thing is installed in? So you need to have it installed in your project. It will be in node modules, and then it will find it. So that's how we can use Shokidar in a package context. Yeah, go ahead, Dries.
I was gonna ask because I'm not much of a JavaScript person, but what's the difference between an import statement and the require?
It's more or less the same. Those are basically different kinds of imports. There are, I think, 3 big import systems in the JavaScript community, and you have CommonJS, which is the import thing, but I forgot what the name is of the required thing. But for all intents and purposes, it works more or less the same. The one is more targeted, I think, at the browser, and the other one is more targeted at Node. But I don't know the finer details for that. But I think as a PHP developer, you could say it's more or less the same thing.
Okay, gotcha.
What are we going to do? Next, we are going to get the argument that has been passed to Shokidar, and that argument that is or to Node, and that is basically this. Those are like the paths that you added with watch paths. We are going to give them to the script. We are going to start the watcher. This is basically something to fix like a startup situation. We want to start in a calm situation. And this is like, we don't want to have like events for all existing things in those paths, because otherwise, if you pass a path with already a lot of files, then they will all seemingly be added at that moment. So we ignore all initial files. And what we are going to do then is say to the watcher, hey, when there is a file added, you are going to just print the text file created and with the path to it. And we are going to do that for all these events. In our PHP world again, let's take a look at the start again. So we've started the watcher. Then we are going to indefinitely start looping. And if the watcher is not running, we're going to add an exception that something horribly was wrong. I think I've put something in here, make sure that Shokidar is installed, and you get the output. Oh, and I should import this as well.
Yes, you should.
Oh my God. And what are we going to do here? We are going to ask all the output that this script has put to the console. So here we output everything that Shokidar has changed. Here we're listening for that, and then we're going to act on that output. And that is basically, just exploding the type in the path. So here in our message, we have the type of the event, we have the path. Here we are going to do that in 2 variables. And then we are going to use a match to see which type is it. And then we are going to call all callables that are on file created. And that's basically everything there is to it. So it's pretty lightweight, I think. It's just piggybacking on the Shokidar package.
Yeah. Nice. Looks very cool.
Yeah, I was pretty amazed at how simple it can be. There's also another package that can do this. It's something Yo Symphony. This works without JavaScript, but this one it works very well. But this one polls. So what it does, it will scan the entire file system. It will calculate a hash for each file, and when you ask it to scan again, it will just compare the hashes it has in memory with what's on the file system.
Yeah,
a little bit less
I think in general, reactive event systems are more reliable than polling ones, because polling ones use much more resources as well than reactive event systems.
I think that's certainly valid. This one will be more efficient. what a nice advantage of this is that you don't even need JavaScript,
Yeah,
and
that's true. Yeah.
that there's no process watching. So you could have some other code that runs, and then do another watcher find changes. So
Yeah.
you're not bound to a loop.
That's true.
So
Except it's not real time
yeah,
if you do that. Yeah.
yeah, it's not real time. If you need real time or memory efficiency, then this one will be a lot better, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was also a more of an exercise, or let's maybe call it an indulgence in my craving for creating packages. We actually have a nice use case idea for this, but I can't talk about it yet because I don't know if and how we'll implement that idea. That's maybe something for another stream.
Cool.
So yeah, that's I think basically everything that I had to show.
Yeah,
So
same for me.
yeah, I guess then that we're at the end of the show. That's good because in 4 minutes the little humans will enter my house. So Dries, thank you for taking the time to show us everything awesome going on at Blade Icons.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was lots of fun.
Okay, see you soon, and everybody until the next time. Bye bye.
Bye everyone.